When I start shooting, all y'all gonna clear out.
We have this new interview here from Harada, Michael Murray, and Nikatsu. They're talking about Heihachi Mishima, guest characters, and also the future of Tekken 8.
I guess to start this off, why did you lie to us? How is Heihachi coming back from the dead?
So this first question is actually really important because a lot of people do feel that way. A lot of people do feel like Harada lied, Michael Murray lied, all of them, right? The Tekken 7 really was the death of Heihachi, and in a lot of ways you can kind of say that's being retconned, that's being scrapped away. All of that pain and emotion that we put into Tekken 7 and experiencing it, it's gone. And one of my biggest things is, what if they do that again with Tekken 8? What if Tekken 8 does its whole thing, and then in Tekken 9 they retcon Tekken 8? So it's a pretty big question to ask, and let's hear their answer.
嘘をついたつもりはなくて
He didn't mean to lie or anything about that. It was, Tekken 7, really focused on the story arc between Heihachi and his son, Kazuya. And so we really wanted to show that kind of final conclusion. And he seemed to die at that point, right?
It seems like with Heihachi, he's going to be taking a new direction, and it won't be solely about Kazuya, but you would have to imagine, right? This is Heihachi we're talking about. He's going to want his revenge. He's going to want his run back with Kazuya. Maybe not now. Maybe he got to deal with Reina, Lydia, or whoever, but eventually you will have Tekken 7 repeat itself once more. Let's keep listening.
And we put a lot of effort into the story, and the fans really seemed to be engaged with that. And as that was happening, we were kind of feeling that the players kind of missed him as well. It was kind of decided later on that we would do that.
Someone asked him directly, when did you decide to put him in a game? And he said about 2023. That's when they started to work on Heihachi. And then you do got to talk about, just ignoring the story element of it, talking about his gameplay. A lot of people do love his gameplay. Every time when you look at usage, he's top 10. So that being lost just because of story is a detriment as well.
The timing is right since it's the 30th anniversary of the franchise. And so we need all three of the Mishimas.
Here they're saying they only wanted the three, Jin, Kazuya, and Heihachi. So it's not looking too good for all the other ideas. But who knows, right? They like to keep secrets and play games, and that's how we ended up here, right? Let's keep going. They say the 30th anniversary logo is comprised of two different type of wings. This is Kazuya's wing, and then this is Devil Jin's wing. But then when you take a step back and look at it as a whole, you can kind of see this as like a Heihachi's face kind of thing. So that's another cool detail that they put in.
Can you tell us a little bit about how this Tekken 8 version of Heihachi will be different from previous iterations?
He's a very powerful playstyle throughout the series, so we tried to recreate that in Tekken 8. But also, if you saw little story hints about the monks and what he has to do with them, and that maybe will dictate some of his moveset as well. So there's some hints there.
One, I think that red mask guy may not be a character just based off of what they're saying. You can't have two people kind of fighting the same. I mean, you can, it's Tekken, but it doesn't seem like that. But also, too, what this tells me is that maybe the monks are more separate from Heihachi than we initially thought. The guy who does wear the red mask, maybe he is the true leader. Maybe he resurrected Heihachi, maybe this, maybe that, but it doesn't seem like Heihachi is the one who like literally created them. It seems like they appeared, he came back and joined them. That's what it seems like is happening here. Let's keep going.
After the game release, it's been 6 months, like you said. We're happy with how the title's performing. It's continued at a faster pace than the Tekken 7.
That's pretty interesting. Right there, he said that Tekken 8 is basically selling more copies than Tekken 7. Tekken 7 sold about 3 million in 2 months. Tekken 8 kind of did the same thing. Now, Tekken 8 faced a lot more criticism early on because of like monetization and stuff like that. They didn't say at EVO where the sales are now, which means it probably isn't too high. I would imagine it's probably like in that 4 million range, but let's keep going.
People who've been with the series for a long time, they voiced some concerns, etc. at the beginning, but those opinions change over the time. We've noticed during tournaments, their opinion has seemed to change in the past 3 months.
I do wonder how pro players feel now, because like everyone was saying like, the game's too aggressive, no defense, blah 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 blah. But it do seem like all that stuff kind of calmed down and players aren't really talking that much about it anymore. Like everyone's just kind of playing the game, doing the thing. It's like we forgot about what Tekken 7 was, and now we're only focusing on what Tekken 8 is, and the comparison between the two isn't really being made anymore.
And I would add the same, we had to make a brand new game. It had to feel like a proper installment. So Nakatsu and his team really changed the game system a lot and really clarified the key concepts of the characters and their strengths and weaknesses.
So for this part here, the question was, are you going to make any massive improvements or overhauls to the game as it currently stands? And they basically said no. As it relates to season 1, they're not going to do any major balance updates. They're not going to nerf any characters into the ground. If you think about it, there's only 4 months left, or 4 months left into the tournament itself. So I think you should not drastically overhaul the game to affect those 4 months when we played the 8 months the way it was. Yes, Dragunov is very powerful right now, but I think they should save that massive overhaul, new moves, gameplay changes, all of that stuff for season 2, so the game really feels fresh. If you do that now as a reaction to Dragunov, then what are you going to do for season 2?
So Tekken has historically been a series that has included some kind of off-the-wall characters like Gon, Mokujin, Roger, Alex, Kuma. Since Tekken 6, though, it's only really been Kuma and Panda representing that kind of character archetype.
And in order to get everyone's favorites and then also include characters like that, we'd have to have a roster of like 60-some characters, which just isn't viable from a launch. And then also for the player base to learn how to play against that number of characters is a lot. We wouldn't say they're not going to make an appearance ever again. That's just the current state.
I always tell you guys that the developers stress out about how many characters to put in a game. I show you guys old interviews from a year ago, 2 years ago, 6 years ago, a decade ago, and you can see that ever since Tekken Tag Tournament 2, they are afraid of putting anything more than 60 characters on the roster. And here they're saying it again. We can't put Roger, Alex, and all those characters in the game and also put in the fan favorites, Armor King, Anna. So it sounds like they're picking the fan favorites over the gimmick archetypes. The interviewer asks,
what are your thoughts in general of having guest characters in your games?
Will we see any in Tekken 8? And how difficult is it to make that a reality?
There's got to be a variety of conditions that align. We want that particular character in our game. Does that IP owner want their property in our game?
And Michael Murray, he basically says that, one, they have to decide if that's something they want to do as the Tekken team. Then 2, they have to reach out to the company like we saw Harada do with Waffle House. Will you guys allow us to turn this into a character, a property, a stage in our game? And they have to say yes. If both of those things happen, then they will have to try to figure out like how to get it done. Timelines, the example that they bring up is if there's a famous actor involved who plays a character, you got to get that guy in there to do the voice. You kind of at the same time maybe doesn't need to. The actor for Homelander isn't the voice actor for Homelander in Mortal Kombat. They got another person to do it. Thank you for watching. See you next time, and bye-bye.